Good morning and welcome to Product Coffee. I'm glad everybody could be here. I heard somebody panic when I talked about the program a moment ago and I didn't see who it was, so I don't have to make you feel too bad. But today at Product Coffee, we're going to do something a little bit different. One of the most common questions that I hear about product management careers in the first place is, so how did you get into product management? It's a pretty common question at conferences and in networking groups. And there's a lot of different ways that people do get into product management. Steve Haynes, I don't know if y'all know Steve, but he wrote this book, The Product Manager's Desk Reference. And there we go, that's better. My green screen's not really working. The Product Manager's Desk Reference. And one of the chapters in there is the accidental product manager. His whole point is nobody, at the time he wrote it, nobody means to get into product management. It just kind of happens to them, kind of like John was sharing just a moment ago. So the purpose of today is to really share some stories about how each of us got to where we are in our career. Obviously, we don't have time in an hour to get through everybody on the call, most likely, but I'd like to get through as many people as would like to talk as possible. What I'll do with this, just like I've been doing with some of the other meetups that we've held, is I would like to take each of these little introductions and use them as an introduction on the YouTube channel to a product manager in our Product Coffee community with a little bit of information about your background that other people can draw on. The way I'll do that is I will cut this session up into short form videos, and I'll share them with you before I post them on the YouTube channel and ask if you like it. If you like it and would like to have it posted on the YouTube channel, I'll share it there, and then I will also post it on LinkedIn as an introduction. I was kind of inspired by Ray, a friend of mine who I met through the Product Camp community as well, who's also on LinkedIn. He has been every day posting a really neat introduction to someone in his network on his LinkedIn feed. And I thought it was just a really cool idea. And it inspired me to think about doing some more personal introductions to product management through this venue. So I thought today we would give that a shot, see how it comes out, and see if it scales. It's all just a big experiment. So the way that'll work is we will go around and I'll ask everyone who would like to introduce themselves, I'll ask you to go into the chat panel and hit the raise hand button so that I can actually see that you're interested in speaking. And then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit, just a small amount about your background, and then answer the question, how did I get into product management? The second question that I'll ask everyone is, what's a characteristic that you think is really important for successful product managers? And the reason I'm giving you that right now is to give you a moment to think about it so that you can kind of collect your thoughts. And I actually reached out yesterday to a couple of people in my network and asked them to prepare in advance so that they wouldn't have this sprung on them at 8 o'clock this morning. So they'd be able to actually prepare themselves. So everybody gets a little bit of a chance to think about the question before they answer it. Before we get started, I want to direct everyone's attention over to productcoffee.com/resources. And I'm going to share that real quick as well. Here we go. At productcoffee.com/resources, there are some tools and things that you may find valuable. Every day, every week, I update this page. I put some new content out here. Some of it's the same from week to week. If you haven't joined our LinkedIn group, we have a LinkedIn group specifically for Product Coffee. It's separate from the Product Camp group. And the purpose of that is so that when we get into a really deep discussion during one of these sessions, we have a place to carry that conversation on in a way that is contextually relevant. I didn't set up a Slack channel where we'd have a bunch of people who weren't in the session and don't come to the events regularly, kind of getting spammed with a conversation they don't have context for. I thought a LinkedIn group would be a little bit better way to continue that conversation and also provide a way for each of us to connect with each other offline after the event and find each other very easily. There's also, I'm really excited today, we have added a sponsor to Product Coffee. Feature Upvote is providing us their software going forward at no charge to continue maintaining our ideas board at Product Coffee. So you can go to productcoffee.com/ideas. And if you have an idea for one of these sessions that you'd like people to vote on, if you'd like to present a session here, or if you just have something you'd like to learn about, you can make a suggestion on the ideas portal and everyone can go vote on those sessions. And I'm using that to draw programming for upcoming weeks. I'm also taking about 20 minutes of each of these meetings where it makes sense and posting them as a short form video program on YouTube. I just put the second one up yesterday and it is from last week's session. So you can go out and check that out. And I would ask that everyone go out to YouTube. Productcoffee.com/YouTube is the quick way to find it, or you can click on the link on the resources page. If you haven't already subscribed to that, please do. One of the things we have to do is we need to get up above 100 subscribers so that we can get a dedicated URL on YouTube and make it easier to find, so I don't have to do all the fancy 301 redirects to make it easy to find. There's also a place for you to submit upcoming events if you know about it, something that'll be useful for product managers to join. If you submit it on the form there, I drop it in our newsletter every week. And there's a place here on Google Docs for us to just take notes. And I always ask everyone to please open up this Google Docs document and use it. If something strikes you during the meeting today, jot down a bullet point. Let's take notes collectively, create some content that we can refer back to. It'll be embedded on a date-specific version of this resources page after we finish the meeting today. And finally, there's a form here if you know about a job posting that would be of interest to other product campers and Product Coffee attendees. If you post it there, you can give us a little bit of information about where to find the job. This is especially valuable for positions that may not be posted on LinkedIn or known, something that we know about internally but haven't been made public yet, or you're just looking for someone who falls in the Product Coffee audience, meaning they're getting up at 7:30 in the morning to go out and talk to a bunch of other product professionals and learn a little bit more before they start their day. Those kind of self-starting types of folks, you can drop some opportunity information on the job postings form. That makes it into a spreadsheet that I draw from and we'll share out to our Product Coffee audience as well. So anything that you can do with any of those resources will be greatly appreciated. Bookmark that page. It'll update every week. And I'll look forward to seeing your contributions. So now that we have gotten through the introductory content, let's shift gears and move over to doing some introductions. And I'll start. So my name's Jason Brett. I got into product management in a roundabout way. I started back in the late 90s, a little boutique web design firm. And as a lot of web designers did at the time, when I started my business, I did a lot of websites dirt cheap. I'd do a few free here and there, or I would do $25 an hour is what I figured out my bill rate was to begin with. But then as I got more accomplished and professional, my rates went up as I could command higher rates. But I still had a lot of clients that had joined me early on and I wanted to continue to serve them, but it became a very expensive time suck for me. I was dealing with a pretty significant opportunity cost. So I wrote a little bit of software to help manage websites in a more effective way and created a company called SiteTamer. Turned out to be a very early application service provider is what we called SaaS back then. So I was an ASP that was providing a very lightweight, small business targeted content management system and site builder. So I ran that for a few years, and my son was born. I had never really kind of hit the $1 million mark and gotten completely self-sustaining. So my wife and I decided it was time to sell that business. I sold it to one of my clients and took a job as a product consultant on a contract basis with Bell South. And that was where I really first got officially exposed to the product management function. And as I started doing my product consulting role at Bell South, I got a lot of opportunities to touch a lot of different products, drive some requirements, do some vendor negotiation, do some go-to-market work. And this was about the time that Twitter was coming online. And I joined Twitter very early on. And through that, I got hooked into a bunch of conversations in a product management hashtag thread. So we would spend our 140 characters trading ideas and articles about the craft of product management. And that's how I really got exposed to this profession in a very accidental but serendipitous kind of way. I learned about Product Camp through Twitter as well, and really wanted to attend one, but couldn't justify spending the money to go over to Austin and attend their Product Camp. But a friend of mine named Stuart Rogers, who I met on Twitter, actually suggested that I host a Product Camp in Atlanta and help me. He kind of volunteered me to do it, told everybody that I was going to do it, and I was kind of stuck with it. But from there, he hooked me up with all the right people. We started Product Camp Atlanta back in 2009. And from there, I met the folks at Silverpop, who actually hired me as a product manager for my first official product management role. And my career grew through Silverpop and IBM and Acoustic, starting as an individual contributor, working at kind of a product owner level with a couple of teams remotely, actually based in California. I was here in Atlanta. My teams were in California. And my career progressed until I became vice president of product management at Acoustic. And that's kind of how I got into product management in a somewhat accidental way. But I realized very early on that all the work I'd been doing at Site Tamer, that was product management. I just didn't know what to call it then. I just thought I was being a developer. So that's how I got there. So that's kind of a little bit of the format. And if I were to answer the question, what do I think an important characteristic of a product manager is? I think the most important characteristic for a product manager to me is curiosity. You've got to be naturally curious to really have the energy and the passion to dig in and do the kind of deep discovery that makes great product management. Always asking why, always asking how can we do this better. That's one of my favorite characteristics of product managers. So that's me. Next, I'm going to ask, let's see, we've got Ode on camera. Ode, would you like to introduce yourself and talk about how you got into product management?
Sure. Hi, so my name is Ode Moras. I actually have been in product management my entire career. So I have a background in computer science and business management. And I learned how to code, and I kind of hated it from scratch. Yep.
Hang on just a second. I realized I was still sharing my screen. Would you start over?
Oh, okay. Starting over. So my name is Ode Moras. So I've been in product management pretty much my entire career. I have a background in computer science and business management. So I learned how to code, I learned to be a developer, and I hated it from scratch, basically. So I couldn't see myself having a career doing programming stuff. And basically why I hated it is that I was missing the interaction with somebody. I was missing interaction with a customer that could, talk to me about their pain points and everything. So I moved quickly to what was at that time project management, but it was pretty much sitting with the customer, understanding their pain points, understanding their requirements, and then talking to the developers about how could we solve their problems, working on new products, new versions, and so on. So I guess I was a bit like you, Jason. I was in product management without really having the title at that time. And so I'm originally from France, moved to the US about 10 years ago. I've been in global product management pretty much my entire life, and that's something that I really love. It's to understand the different cultures and how the experience in the country and their environment, their day-to-day environments affects your customers, their experience with your product and what they really need. So that's pretty much about me. You asked the question about what is the biggest quality that you think a product manager should have. I think for me is the listening skill. And it's, being able to just listen. I always say, shut up and just listen. And it goes by saying that you also have to listen to the silences, because we tend, when we're doing an interview, to, try to jump and ask more and more questions and everything. And I'm a big fan of just let it sink in. Somebody's telling you something, just wait for 10 seconds, let the silence take over, and you'll see that usually the person in front of you is going to be uncomfortable in the silence, and they're going to try to add more, and you're going to learn so much more than you ever thought you would, and things that you would never have thought asking, basically. So yeah, I think that for me the listening skill is what is the most important for a product manager.
Excellent. Thank you, Ode. Let's see here. Who we have with a hand raised right now? Let's see. We've got Jessica Williams. Why don't you take a jump on the screen here, Jessica? Let me spotlight you. There we go. Hi.
Great. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jessica Landisman Williams, and I came into product management moderately recently in my career. I started with studying electrical engineering at Rice University, and then went down to Johnson Space Center and became a rocket scientist. And then after doing that for a while and enjoying it and recognizing the limitations of working in a large bureaucratic organization, I wanted to see how the other half lived, AKA private industry. So I decided to go into Windows software development early on because I figured I could live anywhere in the world. Roll forward a couple of decades, I'm in the same house that I bought when I initially decided to go into Windows software development. So for quite some time, I enjoyed the challenge that I describe as designing and building puzzles, which is software development. I find it fascinating. It's very rewarding. It's collaborative. It requires you have an enormous desire to learn and grow because the technologies change very frequently, as well as the platforms. And after a period of time, became a development manager, was doing product management work with a mobile team to develop a software for anesthesiologists and nurses in hospital setting, and did the product marketing training for product management. And what I found is that as someone like Jason, who's very curious and loves to read, I found that where I was reading most was at the intersection of business and technology, and not so much right at 100% technology 24/7. So that's when I decided that I wanted to become a technical product manager. And as they say, the rest is history. I have loved being at that intersection of technology and business. I am an extrovert, so I love talking to people. And to Ode's point, to listen. I think that for me, one of the most important qualities is once you have listened and taken input from all key stakeholders, both internally and externally, as well as doing your market research, it's synthesizing that information. So the ability to take all this disparate and sometimes competing information and to synthesize that and come up with a vision and a strategy that is compelling for your stakeholders so that you get the green light to move ahead.
Great. Thank you, Jessica.
You're welcome.
Let's see here. Where's Michael? There you are, Michael. Hey, Michael Barnes, why don't you, let me spotlight you here. There we go. Good morning, Michael.
Morning, everyone. Name is Michael Barnes. So I have a electrical engineering background from undergrad at Ohio State. And after leaving Ohio State, I did a technical sales engineering role at Eaton Corporation, which is a power management company in Smyrna, Georgia. And it was in that role I got a chance to really kind of dive deep into customer pain points and providing solutions for my clients, traveling over the state of Georgia. And so that was kind of like an introduction, not to product per se, but really understanding the customer and what they wanted. And so in 2017, I decided to go back to school, got an MBA from University of Michigan. And it was at University of Michigan, I got my first exposure to product related roles. I did a product marketing internship at Microsoft in 2018, working on Microsoft Azure promotions, and really getting a chance to kind of dive deep when engaging with stakeholders in marketing and product. I had heard about product management while I was there from the Xbox team. I had talked to a few employees there, and they, told me to read the Cracking a PM interview book. I still really didn't understand product management, but I thought it was pretty cool to learn about being at this intersection of business, engineering, and technology. So finished my second year at Michigan, and then I decided to do a post-grad internship at StockX, which is an e-commerce startup here in Detroit. They're similar to eBay in a number of ways. And that was my first core product role. Even though it was an internship, I really got a chance to work in Jira, do refinement sessions, grooming sessions, and really kind of get a chance to do the agile ceremonies on a day-to-day basis. And I really liked it a lot. Got a chance to work on MVP, working with different stakeholders, developers, product team members. Then I was able to transition here in Detroit to a company called Amrock, which is in the real estate title insurance space, similar to Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage, as an associate product manager, and been working on their product strategy team since August of 2019. So still fairly new in the field, but I love it. I love the fact that I get a chance to have my hands in a number of different projects, working with different stakeholders, and every day is different. And so I have been able to kind of leverage that sales experience and my MBA to excel in the role. And I would say a huge skill for me that I find value in is customer empathy. I think a lot of times as product managers, or even sometimes engineering, could kind of just have a one set mindset on this is the way that it should go, and this is the way we designed it, but not kind of taking a step back and thinking about, well, what does the customer think about this, and really being able to empathize with them. And so that's something that I found value in.
It's great. And your characteristic?
Oh, that was the customer empathy. Yeah, customer empathy.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. That was great. Appreciate it. All right. So for those of you who joined a moment late, what we're doing today is we're talking about how I got into product management. So I'm asking everyone to kind of give, if you're interested, give a little 30-second elevator pitch on yourself and your background. Talk about how you discovered product management, moved into that career path, and then how you, and then the last question is, tell us something that you think is an important characteristic for great product managers, or a cool characteristic of great product managers. You take your pick, however you want to kind of frame that. And for those of you who would like, as I turn these into small, shorter form videos, if you like the video that I create, I'll post it on our YouTube channel to help other people who are thinking about the profession understand a little bit more about how different product managers got into the profession. And it also serves as an introduction for you personally as well. So if you're interested in participating, if you just flip over to the participants panel, not the chat panel, and raise your hand. I will put you in the queue and just kind of work my way down that queue and call on people until we run out of time. So next up, we have Anthony Cora.
Hey guys, how's it going? This is Anthony here. So let me start by saying I also have a background in engineering. I have a degree in computer science. And I started my career as a software engineer at HP and then Samsung. I worked on a bunch of Android apps. We worked on an app called S-Health, which is your basic step counting health application on Samsung. But it had a unique feature where it could connect to a lot of health devices, like your blood pressure monitors, blood oxygen monitors. And I never saw Samsung kind of talk about those benefits, because the way I saw it was traditionally people go into your doctors like once a month to get this measured. But if they do it at home, they have like 365 data points if they do it every day. So the more data there was, it's obviously going to be better for that patient. And I never saw Samsung kind of market that. So I was really interested in why we never marketed that benefit. And I thought, we didn't take a customer first approach to that. So then I came to the US to get a degree in engineering management. At this point, I had no idea of product management. So I was just coming here to figure it out. I would never recommend anyone do that, go for a graduate degree to figure it out. And I got introduced to product management by some of the people who were in the program. Tried really hard to get a product job, but it was really difficult. At that time, it wasn't very popular 5 years ago. So I was in Atlanta. I connected with an alumni who told me, hey, just check out TAG, check out Product Camp. Long story short, I went to Product Camp. I met somebody there, and I spoke to him after the event, and he hired me as a product analyst on his team at Home Depot. And then I worked as an analyst for a couple of years, and then internally, when there was a need for someone to take up a product role, I kind of moved into that role, and I've been here ever since. So one characteristic that I would say, I actually have two, a good one and a funny one. So one characteristic I would say is similar to what other people said, and that is to just read a lot, because you never know what you're going to learn, and you can always take that back to your job. At the end of the day, your boss, your leaders, they don't care whether it's original or whether it's you read it off someone's blog in San Francisco, because it's going to help the business, right? The humorous one I have is that it's great to have a great poker face, because when you get bad news from your engineers that something's going to be delayed, or your UX partners that they don't agree on the direction that you decided like last week, it's great to have a great poker face and just ask them like, okay, why do you think that? Let's dive into why this is happening. Obviously, if you're remote, maybe it doesn't matter. Nobody can see you pulling out your hair. But otherwise, having a great poker face is a fantastic skill to keep those relationships strong.
That's great. That's a good one. Thank you. I love it. All right. Thank you, Anthony. All right. So by the way, I have been placing people on mute as we go through. So if you didn't mute yourself and you find that you are, I did that. I'm also going to launch a poll here, and Howard, you're going to be up next. So I'm going to launch a poll here while we're kind of going started. I'll give it about a 5-second head start before I switch over to Howard here. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious to know who all's on the call. All right. So Howard, I'm going to ask you to unmute, and there you go. Take it away.
Right. So I'm Howard Chalmers, and I have been in a ton of product roles throughout my career, and I had sort of a roundabout way of getting to product management. So I started off right out of college as a consultant, did some software development, moved into project management, got an opportunity to build and lead a customer support team for a product that I had been implementing for a while. Did that twice, worked for a little startup, got to do, wear multiple hats there, implementation, customer support, a little bit of custom SQL for customers, and found that through all of that, the thing that I enjoyed the most was the customer interaction, and sort of got the most satisfaction around. And then the startup that I was working for got bought, and I ended up moving around with that product in a couple of different roles. Also, again, sort of some project management and some customer support there. And when we got we had a new chief product officer that came in, and she was responsible for all of product development, product management, everything rolled up to her. And she brought Marty Kagan in to help her have some conversations and restructure the product team. And so Marty had some interviews with some leaders, probably interviewed 40 or 50 folks. We did a week-long workshop, and then he stayed around and consulted with us for almost a month after that workshop. And it was a conversation with him where, he said, "You've done all of this stuff. You're in the wrong role, right?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sort of, I've always had this opinion of product managers and their ivory tower, coming up with all these ideas that the rest of us real workers had to go and execute on. But what I learned was, because of the customer interaction and because of the creativity required, product management is probably the most fulfilling job out there. It's one of the hardest, but it's amazingly fulfilling. So I ended up taking a product management role at that point, and have done that for the better part of the last decade, and in individual contributor roles and leadership roles, and love it. Just absolutely love it. So, I've heard the number one skill is curiosity. I've heard the number one skill is listening. I think the ability to synthesize is critically important. But to me, the most important thing is the ability to not be emotional when someone calls your baby ugly. You've got to be able to take feedback and take criticism and learn from that, and take your product in the direction that it really needs to go to solve the true need.
That's great. Thanks, Howard. That's fantastic. Sure. All right. Let's switch back over to Mr. John Harmer. There you are, John, your turn.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I also had a slightly non-traditional path into product management. I grew up in Atlanta, went to Georgia Tech, where my dad was a professor there. I actually stopped going to Georgia Tech for a couple of years to be a chef, which teaches you all kinds of interesting customer-focused things. Realized that working nights and weekends for $8 an hour and hanging out with vampires and alcoholics was probably not a good long-term life plan. No offense to those people in the restaurant industry. And so I went back and finished my degree at the same time as I got a job at a help desk. And if you want to have an appreciation for good and bad UX, work on a telephone help desk before there's screen sharing. This is like 1998 or something. So it's like Windows 3.1, and I'm trying to talk pharma sales reps through UIs in Windows 3.1 over the phone. Good times. Anyway, got my degree, worked in a really propeller head job at CNN for a while, and then sort of got it twitchy because what I've learned is I need to balance the propeller head and the suit in me. And so I went and I got an MBA, did management consulting for a couple of years, and then leveraged the work I'd done on email, specifically at CNN, in my last client at the consulting company, which is a company called CBeyond. They're a former telephone company for small businesses. And they needed somebody who had email experience to launch a hosted email product. So I came in, I did that, and that was the first time I'd ever heard of what a product manager was. So this was 2008 is when I met Jason. And so I had this job I'd never heard of, but it was a lot of the things that I had done before, understanding customers and their problems from the help desk, even from the time at CNN, understanding internal and external customers, and like, what is it you really want to do? You say you want to do X, but maybe that's you're solutioning instead of actually telling me what your problem is. And it was that perfect balance of propeller head and suit for me. And so I just took that, and I have run through, I don't know, half a dozen companies or dozen companies at this point, small, medium, and large things, startups. I went through Techstars. And then finally, I'm now at Google as a product manager on the Gmail team up in Canada, of all places. So then in terms of the important product manager characteristic, I love all the things everybody else has said, curiosity and how that relates to listening skills, being able to have empathy for users, synthesizing info. The poker face is a personal favorite. And then I also like Howard's, don't be emotional, be able to take feedback and criticism. And so what I'd probably say is the next thing that is interesting on this list would be the ability to both focus tactically and think strategically. It's two very different mindsets, and at different parts in your career, you need more or less of one or the other, but you need both in some mix at all times. So you need to execute on the current project. You need to do the things that you have to do right now, but you also need to be able to, have a 3-year vision and be able to compellingly rally your engineering team around that vision. At the same time, you're answering their exact questions and moving their blockers. So.
All right, I think I figured out who's been doing a great job of taking notes for us, because they stopped right about the time a camera went dark. So I captured that on in pen, and I'll go add it in here in just a minute if it doesn't get added in. Thank you so much, John. That was great. It's quite a path, and now you're kind of at one of the meccas of product management. Google is definitely known for having a great product management practice. Sometimes you'll have to tell us if that reputation is really deserved or if there's a lot of mythology there.
Happy to talk about that at some point. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. We talked about having John come in and talk about some lessons learned in one of our future sessions. So we'll see you as the program here at some point in the fairly near future. So thanks, John. So next we're going to switch over to Zach Smith. Let me give you the spotlight and welcome, Zach. Take a turn.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. My name is Zach Smith. I am currently an associate product manager. So if those last two were like winding paths, everybody buckle up because mine's kind of a roller coaster. I went to Georgia Tech and got my degree in public policy, which a lot of people don't even know is offered at Georgia Tech. Right out of school, my life, go Jackets, my life choices brought me to chiropractic school. And I actually spent 3.5 years in chiropractic school, got my degree, got out, got into practice, found out it was a lot different than I was expecting, got out of practice, worked in some restaurants, eventually found decided to go, couldn't find another job or another practice, decided to go into the corporate world, use my healthcare knowledge to kind of pivot into a healthcare IT company. Started out as just working the phones, doing customer success. Actually started out as tech support, moved into a client success, customer success role. Just that totally drained the life out of me. I heard we were having a business analyst position open. They were kind of fleshing out the product management department. And I was like, yes, I got to do that. This sounds awesome. Had no idea what product management was before that. Was just working on the phones and was started doing research. And was like, yes, I think I love this. I love solving puzzles and creating things, but I had no development experience. So couldn't go that background at the speed that I wanted to get out of customer success. And they filled it with somebody else. So I was like, that can't happen again. I went and got my CSM. I became a CSM, did not know what a Scrum Master was until I was done with the course. I was like, oh, okay, what I probably should have done was my CSPO, went and got that. And then after a couple of months, the business analyst that they hired didn't work out. And I was like, I'm here, I'm your guy. I've got what you're looking for. And I got the job, was a business analyst, worked on writing stories, basically working with a product owner, kind of in a junior product owner capacity. I eventually started helping the UX team. We've got a big passion for design as well. And then after a few months, got kind of restless again, moved over to a new company where I'm at now, and got an associate product manager role. And I oversee a team of 2 developers and work in telecom IT now. So that is the roller coaster of my career path. And I'd say coming from somebody who's probably a little lower on the totem pole than sounds like some people with more experience, I'd say a good trait to have is definitely flexibility, because if you don't bend, you'll snap in half.
That's a good one. I like it. Thanks, Zach. That's great. Okay. Let me just flash up here for everyone. I'm going to share the results of the poll that we took over the last few minutes, just so that everyone can see. Most everyone here today is in the product management career path specifically. We've got, I see Ida in UX, and we've got a couple of people who are in the something else category. If you answered something else, shoot me a private message or just post in the chat what your something else is. I'm just kind of curious what else we've got represented here today. Oh, let me share that out for everyone. I'm looking at it and talking about it, but not giving you the view. Most everyone here today has somewhere between 1 and 5 or 5 or less years of experience, which is pretty common. We got quite a few people that are very new to product management, so that's very cool. So hope you're getting a lot of value out of this. Next up, we're going to switch over to Charlie Smiley. I'm going to spotlight you, Charlie, and let you take it away.
Hey guys, good morning. Yes, Charlie Smiley. Thank you, Jason. I appreciated having this. I actually answered your question wrong because it said, how long have you been in your current role? I thought you meant your current job. So I said 1 to 2 years. I've been in product management since started in 2000. Fell into it like probably most of us. It's as you talk to people, a little backwards. I started with Earthlink back then, if you guys remember. Earthlink's still around, obviously, and there's a couple of folks on the call that I recognized and I have worked with at that organization. Came to work from somebody I worked with in a previous life, like Odd. I was a developer before that, not a good one, didn't want to do it, and had gone to school for it and realized that was not the path. And a guy I worked with in the past has said, come, we're implementing product management at Earthlink. I said, great. Had no idea, like most of the folks on the call, what it was. So learned on the job. It's great. There are a lot more product resources around today than there were in the early 2000s. Obviously, a lot of great organizations like this. So I do appreciate that. Have gone through a myriad of companies within the Atlanta area, including Auto Trader, Knology, a cable company, Verizon Connect as well. So I think the biggest thing, and I think Zach stole it from me. I was going to mention, I was really going to go and say, flexibility is key, but I'm glad he mentioned it because it just iterates the point is, and I think John also mentioned the mix between tactical and strategic. You have to remain flexible as a product person because it's not a defined career. It's not a defined discipline. I'm sorry, let me say that back. It is a defined discipline. It just depends on where you go. Every organization practices it differently. And I think you may be a strategic product or strategic thinker and go to an organization that needs a tactical kind of approach, or you may be a tactical person and go somewhere and they want you to plan out, a 5-year roadmap kind of thing. So I think you have to take what you've learned, be flexible, and apply those skills to the organization you're in. And that can be, I think that's the biggest challenge with us is trying to, because also not only do we have different, if we went around the room right now and said, what is product management? We'd get about 20 different answers. it's worse with people who are not in the profession, because you go out and ask somebody what is product management and you'll get 100 different answers, and most of them are not, probably wouldn't align with the 20 answers that you got here. So I think flexibility, to Zach's point, is very key in the role you're in, taking your experiences, applying that to the organization, helping them grow, whether it's a mature product organization or an organization that doesn't have a product organization, or an organization that doesn't have any kind of product discipline at all. So.
Excellent. Thank you, Charlie. So I will correct myself. There's a lot of chatter in there. Folks thought I was asking about their current role and not product management. You're right. I was asking about your current role when I was playing back the results. I misspoke. I think it did create. I wish I had added the second question now that I see the chatter around that to answer the question, not only how long have you been in your current role, but how long have you been in product management. So we're going to ask Chuck to come up next. And while he's doing that, I'll create a new poll and we'll ask the question, how long have you actually been in your current profession? Because we do have some folks here that are not in product management as well. So I will, I'll launch a second poll here in a few minutes to get a count on that one as well. We'll be agile. So thank you so much, Charlie. And I'm going to give the spotlight over to Chuck Carr, who's been around Product Camp for as long as I can remember as well, and see how Chuck got into product management.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Jason. Fantastic to see you. We've known each other a long time, and I think you say you kicked off Atlanta Product Camp in 2009. I'm not sure if I got involved in 2009 or 2010. But it was one of the first 2 years. So it's been very enriching. It's been an enriching part of my career. And I think many of us who know you credit you personally with being a part of the glue to the Atlanta product management community. So I really can't thank you enough. I think of you very, very highly.
Thank you. I'll stop. Thank you.
So I've been in product management a long time, since 1996. I started my product management career at Bell South. Jason spent some time there. One of my clients was Earthlink. I heard Charlie speak of Earthlink, and if there's a couple other Earthlink guys here, hello, good morning. I used to work very closely with Jim Anderson. And my mission was to bring high-speed internet to the Southeast. And that's what really brought me. I spent my early career at Turner Broadcasting. I graduated from college in Philadelphia, moved to Atlanta, worked for Turner for a number of years, and then transitioned into technology, telecom in '96 when the internet was just becoming commercialized. So it was a very, very exciting time to be involved with the internet, and frankly, that was what my catalyst was. I'll bring you back to 1996. Bill Clinton signed the Telecom Act of 1996, introducing and mandating competitive telecom services into local markets. And Bell South at the time was looking for people from just competitive backgrounds. They spent much of their or all of their existence up to that point as a monopoly. So they hired some people from Turner Broadcasting, from Coca-Cola, from UPS. They also recruited a bunch of fresh talent from the universities local in the city. So it was a really exciting time to be part of it. I was in telecom for 9 years. I transitioned to software in 2005, and I've been in the banking software business since, selling payment products to banks and credit unions and brokerages. So I changed jobs, employers, just about 9 weeks ago. I work now for US Bank, which is very interesting. It's a large, highly matrixed organization, so I'm still trying to learn how to best navigate. But I've been in the vendor side for 15 years. Now I spend a little bit of, now I'm spending some time on the client side. So it gives me some extra insight. It helps me further develop customer empathy. So I think those are strong characteristics. I love product management. I've really never have tired of it, and I've been doing it now for 24 years, which is really hard to believe. So I appreciate all of the inputs from this morning, reminding me of the curiosity, the empathy, the listening skills, taking criticism. Now, I was going to say product management is not rocket science, but Jessica has proved us wrong on that. So I would contribute driven to achieve an interesting outcome is perhaps not yet. And we just have to be cautious. We don't necessarily preconceive what that interesting outcome is, but if we're persistent, there will be an interesting outcome. And of course, we need to maintain an open mind to be flexible, because our preconceived outcome might in fact turn out to be wrong. So again, thank you, Jason, and thank you everybody for sharing some of your morning with me. It's been fun. It'll absolutely be the highlight of my day.
Cool. That's great. Thank you, Chuck. That was great. So I'm going to launch the new poll that we discussed. I've been furiously multitasking here. So that's on your screen now. I'll give it a couple seconds, and I'm going to switch the spotlight over to Joey. Let's see. There we go. Got you on the screen, Joey. Hang on. Let's unmute you.
Here, I'm getting them pulled on. There we go. Okay. Hi, everyone. As I mentioned kind of to the earlier group, I actually started in teaching. So my name is Joey Vanderman, and I'm actually a teacher for math and French for high school. That's what I went to Michigan State for. I spent some time in France actually getting to teach, so ode bonjour, and came back from France and went, okay, one of my favorite questions to deal with when I was working in schools was, when am I ever going to use this math? Never, right? So then I decided that I wanted to find some sort of math job, figure out what can I use here for education. So ended up in a data quality / QA role, kind of in both worlds there. And we didn't have product owners at the time in that organization. And so the people that were in the teams were really being the product owners, as well as doing, the work that they were already doing. And I was fascinated. What are you doing? Like trying to get all these requirements, like you're talking to different people, you're working together, trying to make it all work. And the person who was doing the product owner role was a developer who didn't want to be doing it. And so he kind of taught me the ropes. And then as a product owner role became available, I snagged it up. And that kind of started my journey into product ownership. And then about a year ago, the company that I was in got acquired by Equifax. So now being part of a matrix organization, a little bit more structure around product management in general. Very interesting journey to see how different companies handle the same ideas, the same concepts of trying to get things out the door. And really working with people on how to make that happen. So for me, the one skill that I find the most important, listening was mentioned earlier, just gonna hone in on active listening, being actually able to focus on what it is that people are saying, be able to reiterate it back. And basically you're creating that relationship between whoever you're talking to and yourself to be able to build that bridge, get some buy-in from the people that you're talking to. I find buy-in to be very important in all the work that I've had to do.
Excellent. Thank you. Absolutely agree too. So thank you very much. That's great. All right. Let's see. We've got Diane up next. Let me put you on spotlight. And there you go. Take it away, Diane.
Hi, everybody. I'm Diane Bowman. I've been in product management for about 8 years now, starting first as a product owner and then moving into the product management role. Worked very closely with Jason, who's helped me very much along that path. I too have a winding road to my career, but I find that it really has come full circle for me. I began my career in the arts. I started out as an actress. My degree is in theater and in music. I spent the first part of my career in New York. I had an opportunity to tour the nation in various tours and doing a variety of things. And what I have really enjoyed about product management is how all of the skills that I learned, whether it's listening, breaking down characters, stage management, because I loved the whole craft, has really served me well. I find that a lot of those same skills translate. And after I did that for a little while, I actually ran a small theater for about 5 years myself, and that was wearing many hats, being the product, being also the artistic director, producing director, marketing director, a little bit of everything, right? So I really enjoyed that. And then one of the things that actors do is we have survival jobs. And so I did a lot of contracting and ended up at first Unisys Corporation, documenting hardware and software. And what I would do, I would read everything, of course, that I would write, and I started to learn more about that industry and really enjoyed it and realized I could make a little bit more money doing that. So I'd reached the point where I wanted to get rid of my college furniture and get off the road a little bit. So started to go down that path, working with everything from data center management. I was part of the group originally bellsouth.net that stood up the internet for this region, and moved there from documentation and training into project management for infrastructure, all those sorts of things. And from there, just ended up in business process improvement. And once I found Silverpop through a friend, they said to me, they said, you know, it seems like all the things that you do would really fit well in this role. And I really hadn't even considered product management from that point. I got into it and I found that to be completely true. I certainly love to present. I love to listen to customers. I love to break things down. And all of those really suited well for the role. So I find that at heart, I am a storyteller. It's in my DNA. I love to explore the data. I love to be the driver of finding the new things that are really going to impact a customer's lives. And that's where, for me, probably the biggest takeaway is the voice of the customer. Because as an actor, I feel like I'm going to take on that person's point of view and be able to share that out and affect the people that are listening to me and affect the people that are wanting to help me change that and make that enhancement for that product, to whether it's my associates that I'm working with or whether it's the people that are the recipients of the product. I want to affect people's lives and make it better on a daily basis.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Diane.
Sure.
I'm going to end the poll and share the results. Let me remove the spotlight from you so that you can get back to privacy. We ran out of time. We had Kurt Pulaski and Manesh Patel were in the queue to do their introductions, but I just chatted with them offline, and I'm going to set up some calls later, and we'll still record theirs and include them in the individual recordings and the full recording that'll be on the YouTube channel as well. So you'll get to hear from them as well. This session went really well. I want to thank everybody for participating. It was a lot of fun. It was really great to hear from so many of you. The breadth of experience and the paths to product management were really entertaining. So what I'm going to do with this week's show is I'm going to as soon as I get the video from Zoom, I'm gonna mostly just edit out the first 30 minutes where we do the really casual networking and chatting around, and put the whole thing up on the YouTube channel in a fairly unedited fashion. And then I'm gonna go back and do the individual stories as I have time over the next week, and I'll share those over to you individually, and make sure you give me the thumbs up for us to post it on the YouTube channel as well. But I want to thank everybody for participating. This has been a lot of fun. I'm not sure who was taking the notes. I have my suspicion as to who was doing a lot of the note taking, but there's some really good notes in the Product Coffee note sheet. And I want to thank the anonymous ferret that was, and there's another one in there, an anonymous alligator, who were typing away throughout the course of the meeting. So thank you so much for capturing the thoughts as everyone spoke. Next week, we have Eric Holtzclaw, who many of you may know. He's done a variety of things. He has run an agency that was very focused on user research in the past. That's how Eric and I met. He runs a podcast for on business leadership and product leadership and marketing related topics every week as well. Eric's a great guy. He's going to come speak about some market research practices and techniques that he uses with us next week. And then we'll have a discussion following that back to our traditional format. Eric will be starting at 8 o'clock next week. I'll get the invitations out a little bit earlier to the Product Coffee mailing list. I'll get those out before the end of the week for you. And then we'll have it out to the rest of the Product Camp list on Monday of next week as well. So thanks everybody for coming. Getting some content on market and customer research is the #1 request on the ideas portal right now. So Eric's going to kick us off and bring a point of view, and we'll have some more sessions coming in the months and weeks ahead on that topic as well. So thanks everybody so much for coming, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.